complete.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's a local language, it's a local Chinese language. It's not as complete as Mandarin.
Okay, so how would you say hello in your local language?
Usually we also greet each other by using say hi.
Hi also, yeah.
Yeah.
But what is the name of that dialect or language?
Um, so my mother is Chinese cat. My father is Chinese Teochew. So we speak. I myself I can speak Chinese Teochew and Chinese cat, but I more fluent in Chinese Teochew.
Okay. Then when you were growing up, so your mother and father, when they talk to each other, they use which language?
Chinese Teochew.
Okay. But
Because the family from my father is stronger than the bonding from my mother's family. So it's
okay.
more dominant to use Chinese Teochew.
But when your mother talks to you, does she use that one, Chinese Teochew?
Yes.
Okay. And then when you visit your relatives on your mother's side, you have to speak the other one,
Yeah. I have to switch, become Chinese cat,
Chinese cat.
but not really
Okay.
fluent. Yeah, not really fluent.
Okay. Oh, that's interesting. So would you describe your culture as patrilineal atau matrilineal?
Uh, Patriarchal.
Yes, like from the father is the dominant one on things.
Yeah, the father is more dominant because you know the Chinese in mostly Chinese in okay I explain specific Chinese in Pontianak.
Right?
So we are yeah we are divided into two, which is Chinese Teochew and Chinese cat. And then our living and our neighborhood also um quite different. Has some particular area which is Chinese cat, and there is a old downtown. Mostly the Chinese who living in the downtown is a Chinese Teochew.
Okay.
Yeah, more people living in like um, not really in the downtowns, like in the suburb area is more to the Chinese cat. So my mother is came from a suburb area, and my father's is from the downtown. So when they get married, the bondings to my father's family is stronger than to my mother's family. You know, actually, um, what do you say that racism in Chinese community? Yeah, even though we are the same Chinese, there is also like you know like a stereotype where people think that Chinese Teochew is like the class is
The class
higher a
system.
little bit. Yes. So Chinese cat is, you know, the class is like one level below the Chinese Teochew like that. Because Chinese Teochew is living in the downtown.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
that's interesting. You talk about the caste system because Ibu Yoni was talking about that even in Balinese culture the other day. So I think
Yeah.
that a lot of traditional cultures is still very strong on the caste system, class. Well, in Hindi, I think they still call it a caste, but
Yeah.
you would probably call it class system.
Yeah.
And I know Sundanese and Javanese have very big differences in their language also. So
Yeah.
it's interesting. I'm not sure about Malayu because, you know, Indonesian language is supposed to be Bahasa Melayu, right? It gets most of its words.
Uh, I'm sorry. Indonesian language is Bahasa actually, but Malaysia is
Yeah, yeah,
a
yeah.
different language.
Yeah, yeah. That wasn't
They
what I was
speak
meaning.
Malay.
Yeah, yeah. That wasn't what I was meaning. I was meaning like when they created Indonesia, they didn't make it
Mm-hmm.
Bahasa Jawa, even though the Javanese
Yeah,
are the dominant number. They said, well, let's
yeah,
choose it to be Bahasa Melayu from the people who live mostly in Sumatra in the center. Yeah.
yeah. Even in Pontianak here, we have Bahasa Melayu, and the Melayu with one tribe to another tribe is also the dialect is different. Like the Melayu in Pontianak city, they speak it in a different dialect. The Melayu in Sambas, they speak with a different intonation also and different dialect.
Okay. What I'm wondering about too, though, is actually whether they have the class system, even though there's different dialects, but do they have like more respect? Like you were talking about, the Chinese K has a
Mhm.
different, people say this is a lower class or a
Different,
higher
yeah.
class.
Yeah. Sure about the Melayu, but if in Java, I believe there is
Yeah.
because some of them still like a descendants of the like the royal family. In Java, they still have like that.
Mm.
Yeah, especially
Yeah.
in Solo and Yogyakarta.
Have you actually been to China as well? I was just wondering.
Uh, Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, because I was just wondering about the class system, whether it
Mhm.
operates there. Because when I think about Indonesia, they said when they formed Indonesia, they said we're going to be one bahasa, one bangsa. What's the one?
Yeah.
Satu bahasa, satu bangsa, satu apa?
Satu 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 apa? Satu nusa, satu bangsa, satu bahasa.
Okay, so one
Yeah.
archipelago, one
Yeah.
nation, and one
Yeah. One
language.
language. Yeah.
Yeah, so it would be interesting if Bahasa Melayu actually has a class system, or if they just decided no, because we're one nation, that also takes away the class
Mhm.
system, maybe.
Yeah. But we speak in Melayu language also. It is almost the same like in the language spoken in Malaysia, but not 100% the same. Like we say kita. It should be bahasa is kita, right?
Yeah.
Kita, we. But it is a informal language in Malay. So they say kita. And then for the young people, they say like budak, 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 like that.
Oh, there you go. So it does seem to
Yeah.
have a class system to it, yeah?
Yeah. But budak, it doesn't mean that slave.
No, it just means a
Yeah.
different level of we, yeah?
No, no. It's like only a slang language. They call
Oh,
it like budak, 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 like that.
maybe it's just modern.
But yeah, that's a slang language. This is more to the like informal language. Then, for example, that when I'm talking to my friends, I can say that kamu budak mana, like that, only like that. But that
Ah,
is not a formal language. So it's kind of a little bit actually impolite if I use that words addressed to the senior
older
people.
person. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
well, you might find it interesting. When I was in Ambon, they told me that the word for
Mhm.
kita that they use is katong. And I said, because actually we were translating a song. We were trying to say, I am, you are, we are
Mhm.
Indonesia, or we are Ambon, because, in Ambon they've had quite a bit of conflict also. So
Mhm.
when they said about that, they said, oh, that comes from the word kita and orang. So they wanted
Mhm.
to say katong. So it's we, the people. It's just always
Oh,
interesting
yeah.
to learn about language, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So many kinds. And then when this language we convert it into another language, it will be like a different meanings. Like I take one example, like if I'm not mistaken, in Medan, people say motorbike is they called by the brand Honda.
Yeah.
So when you say Honda, every brands of the motorbike, even though this is Yamaha,
And
there is like
Kawasaki.
Ducati or others, they will call it Honda.
Yes, that's what it was
Yeah.
like when I lived in Aceh. We'd always just say, oh, I'm going on the Honda.
Yeah, it's a Honda. And then another terms for the car is kereta.
Yeah. And then also when you went on an angkot, you'd call it an L300. So the Mitsubishi, most of them were
Yeah,
Mitsubishi L300s. But you wouldn't call it
yeah.
angkutan umum, you just call it
Yeah.
L300.
It's like the brand is already inside their mind. So it doesn't matter what brand is it, they will still call that name.
Yeah, Kebiasaan, yeah?
Yeah, kebiasaan. Like people say, detergent, to wash the clothes. People will say that go buy Rinso.
Yeah, yeah, just
Well,
refer.
actually, Rinso is just only a brand,
Yeah,
right? Like toothpaste is Pepsodent. People only know that go buy Pepsodent, but you come back with another brand, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. It happens in Australia
Yeah.
also for tissues. We say, you want a
Mhm.
Kleenex?
Uh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, because the branding is very
very
strong.
clever. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, and I think also when they created Indonesia, they were also trying to be very clever and saying satu
Hmm.
nusa, satu bangsa, satu apa tu tadi?
Bahasa.
Bahasa. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, which brings us to our discussion, the Panchasila. So
Mhm.
I want to just hear a little bit from you. You said that well, everybody actually has a background of how they've learnt the Panchasila in the past, whether it was from school or their family or their religion or university
Mhm.
or reading the newspaper. Can you tell us a little bit about your understanding of the Panchasila and where it came from originally?
Okay. I will share a little bit old story first. So before we are now in this era, in this generation, during my generations in back then to the 1997, yeah, in the year of 97, when I was in lower secondary, so all the students is follow the Pancasila workshop. So they train us to really understand about what is the meaning of the five principle of Pancasila. And then we were given a certificate to prove that you already passed, you already understood about the meaning of Pancasila. It's called Penataran P4,
And is it
P4, Penataran P4.
compulsory for everyone?
Compulsory for everyone. It's compulsory during my generation. But now this generation is they don't have this anymore. Because maybe during my generations, they were all state schools, right? State schools and then rule under the government, under the departments of education. And then during the, Suharto era, Suharto. So
Yeah.
they really force us. And then the names also change. The name also changed. We used to learn about this called PMP, Pendidikan Moral Pancasila. But now they change. They change become PKN, Pendidikan Kewarganegaraan.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
PPKN. Yeah.
Yeah. So my background was so I do appreciate we really understand about this Pancasila. So the government is willing for us to be so nationalist, right? Yeah, so nationalist. But the fact, I'm telling the truth, many Indonesian people is not really nationalist. It's very different. Like you know, I've been dealing with like Philippines people. They're very nationalist. They are very love their country so much. I've been dealing with Taiwanese. They also like they prefer to buy their own products rather than the products outside of the country. And I can feel that they're very nationalist. But in Indonesia, people feel more proud when they're using a brand from outside. That's the
Just
truth.
ask a question though. The Filipinos and the Taiwanese that you're talking to, are they living in
Uh-huh.
Indonesia or are they living in their home countries?
No, we met when I was on board, when I was working on board on a cruise ship. So
Okay.
I met so many Filipinos. And when I had a chat with them, so I can tell that they were very love the country from the way they explain it.
So a
Yeah,
different
because
type of nationalistic education, yeah?
yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, nowadays, I feel that it's like um, yeah, the nationalist is getting lower, it's getting lower. Yeah, I can tell
Yeah.
that.
I think some people I've talked to, when I've talked to them a year ago, I said, "Oh yes, I'm going to study Pendidikan Pancasila and I'm going to work at peace with that." And they said,
Mhm.
"Oh, don't call it that. Don't call it Pendidikan Pancasila. It makes us feel traumatized." And
Yeah.
they said, you know, they have so many bad experiences about Pancasila education that some of it
Mm,
was that they had bad role models. Some of it was that it was just
mm,
rote learning. But yeah, the key thing
mm,
was they didn't really feel it connected with their everyday life, I think,
mhm,
and the lives of the role models, you know, whether the president was and their teachers, some of them were commenting about their teachers. Their teachers would say, you have to do this, you have to do this, but then they wouldn't do it
yeah.
themselves. Yeah. So is that similar to your experience of Pancasila, this training you had to go to?
Nowadays is no more. Nowadays is no more.
No, no, but
But back then,
for you
when
personally.
I was, oh, my personally, not really, I think. No, not really dominant.
But did it feel like it was a useful activity? Did you feel like, oh, I feel nationalistic because these are good values? Or how did you respond to the training?
The first is the first day I still remember exactly that I was so enthusiastic to follow the training. But um this training this training try to ensure us, yeah, no matter what tribe are you, that you need to love your country. I think that's all the same that all the governments will do to their citizens, right? That we need to love our country. But sometimes when we are facing the unequal treatments, yeah, so I said the unequal treatment like racism, yeah, because you're different tribe, because you're still like a descendants from the China, because you are like that, and then it a little bit slowly will change my mind also. Yeah, it did affect me.
Okay. So was
I
it for a good understanding you came out of, or you just came out, what sort of understanding did you come out of it with?
I supposed to think it positively, actually. I supposed to think it positively, but um it changed my mind a little bit. If you knew about the riot that happens in Jakarta in 1997, if I'm not mistaken, the riot where the victims all was Chinese people, yeah. So we are questioning about how they treat us. We are questioning about how they treat us. We love this country so much, even though I mean that we are born in here, we are living in here, and then we will die in here. So we have shown that we are very nationalist. But when it comes to the any kind of problems, any problems which is related to the tribe, then it will be the victims of their angers. It always will be the Chinese people. Every problems that they cause will be,
Blame it
yeah,
on, yeah.
yeah, it will blame it to the Chinese people. It will lead to the Chinese people. Why? Because Chinese people is easy, is more easier, because they think that you are not the native people in here.
Mm.
Yeah, they always
Yeah.
think like that.
So the training that you went to in high school, it itself had a good value, but the reality of the riots and so forth in Jakarta really undermined the whole training. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, of course. So before the riot, when I was in the training, so everything was very logical, right? Everything was very logical. So when we had a different expectations in the reality, then we just call that, I'm so sorry to say that, we just call it as a bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, you say everything's from A to Z. You try to ensure us. But when it comes to the reality, we are treated differently.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's of course it will be a traumatized for a certain people like us.
Yeah. So over the years, how has your understanding of the Pancasila changed with different political regimes?
Actually, the slogan of the Pancasila is Bhinneka Tunggal Ika. It means that unity in diversity, which is very, very good. But this term always used, yeah, they always I mean that blow up again these issues when during the political issues like this political years. Now we are having a president elections, and before the president election there will be a governor election, which is, you remember very exactly, between Ahok and Anis. They blow up all about the racism, they blow up all
Mm.
about the tribes, right?
Religion, yeah.
Yeah, it's about a religions again, about religions again, about religions again. We
About
are the
not
minority.
being, yeah, not being the not majority, yeah.
Yeah, we are being the minorities. Minority will always be loose. Yeah. So I adore so much about Pancasila, and I want to live with it. I try not to be racist myself because I have so many friends. My friends not only are Chinese, I also have another friends like Bataknis. I also have Melayu. I also have Dayaknis and all the others. So, but when it comes to the like what you say, is come to the stereotype, which is very difficult to change, then I cannot change the people the way how they value us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think I want to ask you to say that in Indonesian, because if it's
Mhm.
okay, I might take snippets of this conversation, like I am from the other people as well, and put them into a bit of a mosaic. So, would you mind to say you adore the Pancasila, and also you said earlier, we love this country, we were born here, and we're going to die here. You know, just speak with that same passion, but in Bahasa again, please.
Oke. Saya mencintai Pancasila. Saya yakin Pancasila itu adalah bagian dari bangsa Indonesia. Saya hidup dengan Pancasila. Saya bangga menjadi orang Indonesia. Dan saya terlahir di Indonesia dan saya juga ingin meninggal di Indonesia.
Tapi masalahnya kalau orang memiliki stereotip yang lebih
Yeah.
berdampak daripada hubungannya.
Yeah. It will be very difficult. Yeah.
Ya, ya. Dan saya melihat di apa itu yang jawaban survei itu Pak Yuky juga bilang tentang backgroundnya agama sudah berbentuk pemikiran Pak Yuky sama Pancasila. Tolong jelaskan tentang itu, boleh?
My backgrounds, you mean that my family's backgrounds?
Well, you commented, hang on, I'll
Uh-huh.
just go to it. It was question 4. Hang on, question 4. 4D. It said, apakah ada faktor eksternal yang pengaruhi perubahan? So you wrote about pemikiran kejadian terkini, misalnya politik lokal atau nasional, itu kami sudah diskusi.
Yeah.
Tapi juga pandangan agama, Anda juga bilang. Boleh jelaskan sedikit itu?
About the religions.
Ya, bagaimana pandangan agama menjadi satu faktor eksternal pengaruh perubahan tentang Pancasila? Atau mungkin itu bukan pikiran Pak Yuky tentang perubahan Pancasila, atau perubahan gaya hidup mungkin bisa jadi.
In a specific way is, I'm sorry, I'm a little bit lost about these questions.
Okay, we can leave it. It's just, I just thought something you also said when I met you in Pontianak, you were talking about, you said Buddhism, it makes sense to you. It makes sense about how people can live in relationship with each other at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my religions, I believe in all religions, not only in my religions. It talks about the kindness, the goodness, not only our relationship between we as a human and the gods, but also our relationship between another humans and our relationship between the natures itself. But when it comes to, lately there is a one what is that, one paradigma from the I'm so sorry to say that, from the Muslims. So which is they want to change the Pancasila. They want to change the Pancasila, and then some of the what is that, ceramah, yeah, at the mosque, where they put the politic issues in there, which is, I think, that's also, um, I mean, that is, I think, that is out of the value of the religion itself, because religions never taught us to hate each other, right? Even in Christians, the Jesus taught us to forgive our enemies, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But when they put it into politics, everything will be possible. So
Yeah, they don't live by their belief. Yeah.
yeah, they spread the hate speech. They try to, this kind of people. I'm so sorry to say, this kind of people, when they are easily to get influenced, they will like try to brainwash them. You have to hate these people. You have to hate these people. There is no other religion than their religion. It will be like that.
A little
And
bit like,
another people,
yeah, you go, keep going.
yeah, another, only their people belong to their religion will go to the heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is a,
A little, it just
yeah,
reminded me, I was thinking about the poster. I don't know if you've seen it yet in our module. I put a poster in there. It had two billboards. You had a group of people facing this billboard here and a group of people facing this billboard. And on the billboard, it
mhm,
says, "We are good, they are bad." And they were both reading exactly the
yeah,
same writing. But it's like you say, the
uh,
brainwashing or the stereotyping to say, we are good, they are bad. And that's something that we talked about in session 1, isn't it? How there's 3 main reasons for
yeah,
conflict. The first one being solidaritas terlebihan kelompok, second one
yeah,
being stereotype, and the third one is egoism. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Mhm.
what I'm hearing from you, Pak Youky, is that you believe the Panchasila is very, very good, and also that
Yeah, pretty,
religious backgrounds, they have a common belief that are all for about kindness, but it's how people live them that's the problem, right? It's how people live the Panchasila, or it's
yeah,
how people live their
yeah.
religions.
It's very difficult to live in diversity, but diversity has the uniqueness of itself. Diversity make us like, we have make us rich in the terms of like perspective. So we know so many kinds of people. We know many types of people. There is the positive side, but the negative side is this diversity is very easy and is a very like a fragile issues to blow up, to be used by the people to make a conflict. It's
Yeah.
different with, like, for example, let's say everybody is American, right? Everybody is American. They never bring about the tribe. You American, I'm also Americans, right? Because
Yeah,
maybe
there's
they,
no specific
maybe they just
differentiation.
maybe they just only have a like the black colors and the white colors. But here's so many, not only black and white, we also have a different language again. Yeah. So I guess Indonesia has the
Diversity.
many, yeah, the miniest diversities of tribes, I think, is around the world.
Yes, which brings it with itself strengths and weaknesses, right? There's
Yeah,
certainly
yeah,
a
there is strength
richness
and the
to
weakness.
diversity, but there's also challenges to
Mm-hmm.
diversity. And
Yeah,
I guess
so,
that's one of the things I was trying to look at in this. I think that you could classify, you tell me if you agree or not, you could classify our time in the Pekajian Bersama as a type of musyawarah. Yeah,
yes,
agree?
yeah,
Yeah, the reason I say that is because, while I'm doing this study, I'm also doing a literature review about what people try to explain what is the Panchasila. And you probably hear me over the weeks. I say, well, when I look at the Panchasila, I look at it like this way. And I try to take everything I'm reading about the Panchasila and everything that I'm living, and I try to think, how does this make sense? And so when I actually have just written a 4-page article. I don't know if you want to read it. I'll send it to you in English if you're interested. I write about Panchasila culture and social justice, and how the problem in modern day life is we're not actually living Sila Empat. Sila Empat is the musyawara. You know, many people have a religious belief, and many people are having a connection to people beside them, but it's not a deep connection, because when we talk about a number 4, most people just think, oh, I've put my finger in the ink pot and I voted. Yeah, that's democracy. But in reality, democracy is way more than just once every 5 years going like that. And it's also more than demonstrations or demo crazy, we call them here in UPI.
Yeah.
So when I look at the Panchasila, I think, you know, it's an excellent set of values, but unless you're living every single one of them, and I think number 4 teaches you how to live them, then you'll never get to number 5. You'll never get that social justice. And that was one of the things I was trying to explain, how when I look at the Panchasila, I don't know if you remember this, but is it okay if I say it again?
Yeah.
Yeah. When I look at the Panchasila, I think, you know, it's not just the Panchasila, it's life. Life is about relationship. You know, when we think about peace, it's not just about damai itu indah. What is indah? You know, peace is actually about good relationships. And what is life about? If you're really enjoying life, it's because you have good relationships. And so I think the Panchasila also is just trying to reiterate life is about relationships. And so will it start with God or supernatural being, a relationship that says we are not the only being in this universe. I know you have to go soon, so maybe I should just jump to the question. What time are you going to go?
It's at 5.
Oh, okay.
But
so
still have 20 minutes.
Okay. All right, I'll just go quickly. So yeah, the relationship with God is also got to be a knowledge that living unity and diversity is the ultimate purpose of life. And when you think about that, then number 4, having a mushawara with the higher being, with God, you can think, okay, if I'm in conflict with somebody, if I have a bad relationship with somebody, it's because I haven't caught what God's best is. God's best is unity and diversity. So I need to have a mushawara with God, whether it's meditation, whether it's prayer, whether it's worship, whether it's fasting or whatever, until your heart is in line with God's ultimate plan in life. That is unity and diversity. That's how I grasp number 1. And then the same for number 2. You can't have relationships with other people that are kemanusiaan dan beradab, yeah, unless you are having a musyawara. Otherwise, you just have assumptions or you just have stereotypes about the other people. And so a musyawara is so important in our relationships, so we can understand. And then again in number 3, when we've got the nation of Indonesia, just like you said, it's so diverse, we need to actually have special efforts to have a musyawara. Now you can have, for number 2, it's very easy for you to have a musyawara in your family. You know, you can get your mom, your sister and your dad and your aunts and your cousins, whoever, together, and you can talk about how you're going to celebrate Imlek, or you can talk about something that's relational to you. But when you think about connecting with people who are different than you, but your identity is Indonesian, it's not really happening, is it? And so that's why when I developed this idea, I thought we got to see if this is working, whether we can make a type of musyawara so that we can destroy untrue stereotypes. And I personally, from the interviews I've had so far, and I think you may agree with me, it to some degree is having a success. I think we are understanding other people. You know, you had that opportunity to ask Ibu Yoni some more detailed questions about the Balinese traditions, and we haven't had opportunities to talk to everybody yet, but the more we do so, the more people can see, oh, that person's showing value of my culture, or that person understands why we do that, or that person can see a connection that we all agree that Sila 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are important. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
sorry, I'm doing too much talking. It's supposed to be your interview.
It's okay. It's glad to hear from you also.
Okay, oh, that's good. And actually, that's something that the other interview people have said, that they actually would like to continue, but not as frequently, maybe like once a month. Is that something that you might be interested in as well?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Once a
we
month
might,
is okay.
yeah, once a month we can just try to have a video call, and I might, yeah, some people are saying they do like the conflict resolution or the Panchasila focus.
Mhm.
How
Yeah.
do you feel about continuing on with that? Yeah, Panchasila atau Berbhinneka Tunggal Ika focus.
You mean that the focus of Pancasila, like in my daily life, or like?
Well, just in this video call, you know, we had the video call with Ibu Dharma, and
Mhm.
I can't even remember who's the Thursday group and who's the Tuesday group, but the other people in the group, Ibu Yoni and Pak Iwan and others, when we get together as a group, shall we continue talking about Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or is there another idea?
Oh, the second week, right?
No, when we what's happened now is we've had 4 weeks, and I need to
Mhm.
now focus a little bit more deeply on the research paper so that we can. I really hope that this will actually be a
Mhm.
format of teacher professional development in the future. One of the formats,
Mhm.
because as I was saying to you before, yeah, we can easily focus on Sila Dua. You can easily go to trainings at your school with the other teachers, and you can easily go to
Mhm.
trainings in Pontianak with your district. But it's not so easy for you to meet a person from Tanah Toraja or Papua or
Yeah.
NTT, wherever else, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I want to put in a report to say these participants who studied with me for 4 weeks, Pengkajian Bersama, these were the
Mhm.
benefits that they saw, and these were the challenges that they had, and these were their
Mhm.
suggestions for future activities. And this, yeah, I want to put it together a report about that. So in the interim, while I'm putting together the report, some of them have said, oh, we'd like to continue meeting. And I said, well, I certainly can't do it once a week, or I was doing it twice or 3 times a week. But if I do it once a month, are you interested? And they said, oh, yes, please. So, yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
Oh yeah, it's okay. One is a month is okay for me. Just put me in.
Okay, great. And some of them have said too, maybe we could have a list of email addresses and WhatsApp numbers, and if they wanted to ask, maybe you could ask them to do an interview
Mhm.
so that their class had a little bit more knowledge of that
Mhm.
specific culture. That'll be okay?
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, and then the other thing about the suggestions too is, okay, so we've started looking at the Panchasila together, which I think is probably quite critical, especially from your comments before about how, yeah, there's really a lack of understanding. But the potential for this style of teacher training, the potential to use uh, online, like Google Hangouts or Google Classroom, or even WhatsApp. You could have a group on WhatsApp, or you could have a group on, all number of social media groups.
Mhm.
Interacting with people. Is that something you would recommend for people in the future?
Yeah, I can say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And just going back a couple of steps, I know I haven't followed the
Mhm.
order on the paper, but so we talked about your background history of Panchasila at the high school and then the riots, and how you really, really love the Panchasila, which is
Yeah.
awesome. So do I. Has being in this group changed at all your thoughts of the Panchasila or made it deeper? And if so, how? And how did you think about that as you thought, even just now as I'm explaining to you, Panchasila is about hubungan and hubungan awalnya sama ini, musyawarah. What processes are happening in your brain at that time?
So when I had this pengkajian, it doesn't change my perspective about Pancasila, but it makes me more to love about Pancasila because I know a new friends even though it is through the internet, yeah, even though we don't meet each others. I'm very glad if I can like do interaction with Ibu Yoni, like Ibu once again from the
Ibu Rusna.
yeah, Ibu Rusna and Ibu Dharma and the others. Yeah, well, actually, I'm looking forward if there is a one day that I can hear their stories about their cultures. Yeah, I know. I also have a Bataknese friends, but I think the Bataknese who live in the land of Bataks has a different story, maybe with the Bataknese who live other outside of the Batak land.
Yeah, excellent
Yeah.
point. Yeah, and perhaps too the fact that it's a group that is called Pekajian Bersama and there's a facilitator, that you've got this focus. Whereas if you talk to your Batak friend, just you and that person, it's sometimes like, oh, why are you asking me all these questions? But when we've got this forum and it's like, yes, we are here to learn about each other, then people will be more expressive, yeah?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, and I think, I don't think you were in that session, but there was another session between Ibu Intan, who's Sundanese, and Udama. And Ibu Intan is having many problems at the moment with her class. Half of them are Batak, and they've just moved to Tasikmalaya, and half of them are Sunda. And she really doesn't understand the Batak psyche, and she doesn't really want to ask the parents because the parents might be quickly offended, but she feels quite happy to ask Ibu Dharma because they're both at the same level professionally. So she's like, oh, as a professional, I'd like to know your insight. And I think that can be really valuable.
Yes, of course.
Okay, so the Panchasila, being in the Pekajian has been a big help in being semangat untuk.
Yeah, in Pengkajian, it helped me to understand more about the others. And I never have like from the one who is the Bapak one from the
Toraja?
Toraja,
Well, there was Pak Freddy from NTT and there was Pak Iwan from Toraja.
Yeah, and then the one again from Baduy is
Pak Awan.
Pak Awan. Yeah, I never interact with someone from Baduy. I never interacted with someone from NTT and Toraja. But through this pengkajian, so yeah, at least I had a chance.
Yeah. It's I think it's really wonderful that we can go deeper as well. Okay. So what about your understanding of peace? Has that deepened or changed, or how do you explain peace and how your thoughts about peace?
My opinions about peace. So I see peace is something like you said, damai itu indah. Yeah. So making peace is not just only you feel peace inside your heart, but you have to work for it so that you can get the peace. If you always have second thought about others, then you feel not peace inside your heart. If you always feel that you worry about this person, you always feel like anxious about another person, you also never have peace. Peace is something that you have to work for it, and then it will grow inside of you once you can see people's difference, when you can treat people's the same thing like you want to be treated, you also can gain peace. When you treat people differently, you will feel anxious. What will happen if the person doesn't happy? What will happen if one day the person will pay back, right? Because we treat the persons differently. So that's what I think about peace. So peace is not just about we feel secure, but we have to see another people also, treat another people nicely, say something good about other people's, yeah, about our relations with the peoples. And then also, even though the natures the natures cannot hit you back, but you also need to treat the natures with peace. Yeah, by
Yeah.
not like the last videos about the coal and mining
Yeah.
that I comment. Yeah, I think that is also our peace with the natures. So not just only peace like when you're having peace like you have a good relationship with your friends, you never argue, then you have a peace not just only that narrow. Actually, peace is like more broadens, yeah, more broadens can bring you wherever you go. If you can bring this positive effect, then I think the peace will be like written on your forehead.
That's a beautiful description, Pak Youky. Really, I have learned a lot from your description, and I'm going to replay it later and meditate on that. That's really awesome. So can you talk a little bit about what you think is the relationship between the Panchasila and peace?
Panchasila and peace. So Panchasila actually touch us about peace also, right? We have to live in diversity. We have to unite. We are not like respect each others. When we respect each others, people will respect us back. Because basically people do not like to feel irritated. I think that is normal. All the people want to be treated equally. Once you treat another people's like not equals, the other people will try to compare himself. When he try to compare himself, he will feel that oh, why he treat me different because I'm this, because I'm that. It will have a second thought, and then these people who become the victims will affect to others again. That is the root, the first the first symptoms. But if you treat people equally, then there will be no chance for other people to have a second thought, or another people to feel anxious, or another people to feel like emotional. So if we live, yeah, we should living in a peace within the diversity. I think that's the word that I can
Yeah,
use.
that's great. And yeah, it was really great to see you make a response to Pat Reza's video. And I hope that we can continue to put up important issues and share different depths to that thought, because it was great to see Pat Reza's story, but he didn't have a lot of explanation with it. So it was good that you put something there, and I hope that we'll continue to
Yeah,
discuss like that.
why I give comments to Pak Reza's video is I think God has provided us with so many like natures, right?
Yeah.
So many natures. Some of the natures we can use it. We use it. If I'm not mistaken, in Bible also there is a witness that everything's on the lands that you can use for the I mean that for the continuity of the human's life, right? But not all, yeah, but not all also, but
But
not
not to
all,
wipe it
not
out. Yeah.
yeah, not everything. You don't have you think that there is still another chance to do the minings over there, then you go over there. There is a the chance over there, you go to over there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
is some part that you can use to gain money, but some part just let it like that
That's right. We need to
because we
preserve some
yeah
parts. So yeah.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah like that.
Really important. Now, we did talk about that. Well, it actually is 5 o'clock now. Do you need to go, and maybe we could do another 10 minutes some other time, or can we do another 10 minutes now?
Okay, 10 minutes
Okay.
is okay.
All right, 10 minutes. I'll keep to that. Okay. So we did
Okay.
talk about in the video at the start, and I think most of you thought, oh, Miss Christine is a bit crazy.
Yeah.
We did talk about that conflict can be asik, itu kata Ibu
Asik.
Eli yang kemarin. Now, when you saw that last video where we had the people with the spoons, The long spoons, you remember that one?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't draw it out as much as I was hoping to, but what I was trying to say, what was happening in that video at the start was they were trying to feed themselves with those really long spoons, and they couldn't get it to their mouth because the spoon was too long, and they ended up annoying and disturbing the people around them just because they were so focused on themselves. And I think that is something that happens quite a lot. Different cultural groups, not just individuals, but different cultural groups get just so focused on themselves that they don't even aware that they're annoying the people beside them. And then in that video you saw eventually after the conflict, somebody broke somebody else's stick and the soup went flying through the air. But eventually somebody said, stop. She slapped the ground and she said, and then she tried to show the way by holding her spoon to try and sew up somebody else. And in that perspective, when I said conflict can be asik, when we become aware that what we're doing right now is not keadilan, is not social justice, then we can switch in our brain and go, oh, we need to do gotong royong now. But more than that, I don't know if you saw the clip about the 6 blind men and the elephant. Did you have a chance to see that one?
Yet.
No, yeah, it is actually in the Google Classroom, so please have a look at it later. Anyway, so what I'm trying to say is with that 6 blind men and the elephant, it's very evident in that story that they all have a very different perspective and none of them have the full story. So sometimes when we've got conflict between other people, we can all have a very different perspective, but none of us can have the full picture. So it's important that we stop and we have a mushawara and we go, okay, well, you tell us what you know so that we can understand, and then we'll tell you what we know so that you can understand us. And then together we can move forward because we have a shared understanding. I think that's really the goal of the mushawara more than just making a decision, but it's really important that we have a common understanding. So yeah, does that make a bit more sense now when we say conflict bisa menjadi asik?
So I was thinking about your words, conflict menjadi asik. Now I might can give an example why conflict menjadi asik.
Baik.
So yeah, I just remember that why you say that words. Sometimes when we have a conflict, so I will not take in a big scale. So I will give example in a small scale. So when we have a conflict, like say I have a conflict with my friends, yeah. When we have a conflict, but when we have a conflict with another people, sometimes it will bonding our relationship become
Exactly.
stronger. Really. Yeah.
Yeah.
The first we become enemy, and then it will turns back become friends again, and then it will makes us boulders like that.
That's right, because sometimes the other person can tell us, hey, you don't know this about yourself, but really this needs to change. And then when you stop to think about what they've said, you're like, yeah, that person's right. And then you're like, thank you so much for helping me to become a character or helping me do something a bit better, yeah?
Yeah. Sometimes we need someone to trigger our emotions. Yeah. To trigger our emotion so that we know that, okay, so what I'm doing after all this time is wrong. And then someone try to remind me when I cannot accept that, it will be a conflict. But when I consider it back again, oh, what did he say is correct? Then actually that is the person who sent by the God to remind us about how to do things right.
Exactly. See? Konflik bisa menjadi asik, kan?
Yeah.
Akhirnya, ya, walaupun kami tidak mau kekerasan, tidak sampai kekerasan, tetapi itu bisa buat kami lebih sadar. Oke. Jadi, ya mungkin satu kalimat saja yang kalau bisa tentang menurut Pak Youky memakai HP atau smartphone ada kekuatan atau kelemahan bagaimana untuk kajian?
Untuk memakai HP untuk pengkajian ini.
Ya.
Memakai HP untuk pengkajian ini tentu sangat bermanfaat. Pertama kan kita memiliki jarak yang sangat jauh dengan teman-teman dari daerah lain, right? We are
Hmm.
very far in this, but we feel very close when we can do the conference call.
Ulang itu dalam
Ya,
bahasa Indonesia.
oke. Um, Pengkajian Guru Nusantara ini menggunakan bantuan handphone sangat bermanfaat karena teman-teman dari daerah-daerah lain yang jaraknya sangat jauh itu bisa didekatkan melalui panggilan konferensi seperti ini.
Mudah juga kan? Mudah
Iya,
dipakai.
sangat mudah, ya mudah dipakai, mudah dipahami, sangat praktis. Ya,
Kelemahannya jaringannya.
ya kelemahan biasanya jaringan, heavy rain ya kalau hujan besar, ya, and then the connections drop, ya
Yeah.
seperti itu saja.
And the
Kelebihan.
other issue is too sometimes finding the shared schedule because sometimes you or others have had
Nah,
meetings. So please give my best regards to your principal and the staff for supporting you in joining the Pekajian.
oke,
I
oke.
want to ask you, what is your suggestion if this was to go to a bigger scale, like many more groups in the future? Would you want like every year to change members of the group? So say for this time you've got a Pat Freddy from Sumba,
Ya,
Yoni from Bali, and whoever else. Instead of having Pat Freddy from Sumba, maybe we have somebody from Flores or somebody from Kupang. So it's still NTT, but a different place. Or would you want to keep friendships with the same people over a couple of years? Or what are your thoughts about that?
okay. So for me, if I can suggest, how about if you make a groups like, for example, I'm not the only Tionghoa in Indonesia.
Yeah.
Tionghoa still so many kind of Tionghoa. Like what I told you in Pontianak, we have two types like Teochew and Cat. But I I haven't got a chance to know another Tionghoa, like for example in Medan,
Oh,
in
yeah.
Jambi. Yeah, maybe if yeah, this is just only suggestion. You can gather the Tionghoa from this island, from this island, from this island. Maybe there is
Dysphoria.
the
Yeah.
yeah, maybe there is the commons traditions. Maybe there is also like a different traditions that we have because we already mix with the local people, right?
Okay.
And then
Okay. That's a great
then we
suggestion.
can gather like the Bataknis in Pontianak maybe a little bit different from the Bataknis in Sumatera Utara.
Mm.
And then the Bataknis in Sumatera Utara maybe already a little bit different with the Bataknis in Papua, right?
Yeah,
Because they already like blend the traditions with the locals people.
for
Yeah,
sure.
maybe yeah, just beside of gathering all the different tribes, maybe you can try to gather the same tribe and then try to see whether is there any differences because we already blend with the local cultures.
Okay, that's a great
Yeah.
future point. Also, what about your suggestion for support from maybe Dinas Pendidikan or other groups? Like, would you want it to be like a certification for continual professional development and support for time out of class, or are there any other suggestions to help it be more attended?
I mean, I suggest myself to follow the under the departments of education to follow to get the certificate to have a trainings. I would love to actually to I love to learn about new things actually,
Excellent. Okay.
meeting new people. Yes, if I have a chance, of course I will. But but I need to see also the schedule from the school whether school allow me or not.
Yeah, that's what I was sort of aiming to think about. You know, we need support for that timing so that it's
Mhm.
sort of protected. Yes, this is the time when we're doing Pekajian Bhinneka Tunggal Ika together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But sometimes it's very difficult if I have to use the teaching time. Unless like in on the weekend like this, yeah, on Saturday and Sunday, I don't have to teach. Yeah, so I have more free times. Even though in the morning I have tutoring, But like during these afternoons, is I'm quite free.
More relaxed, yeah.
Yeah, more relaxed.
Yeah. So what about your thinking about, learning about the Panchasila? Do you think it needs to be a collective learning experience or a bit of both individual and collective? Like I did put in the Google Classroom a few homework things, but most of the time people weren't really responding to those. What are your thoughts about that? Maybe it's something that Dinas Pendidikan can support as well, but you do you find it easier to learn in the group rather than individually?
I think it depends. If we learn in a group, maybe if you put like the durations of the video was too long, maybe, yeah, maybe if I think that some of the people with a very rushed times, they don't have a time to watch it all.
Yeah.
A very interesting part is which is can catch our intention second minutes. If it is already too long, sometimes I just skip it like that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
get that.
but if
Yeah,
yeah, if you can make it short, like 1 or 2 minutes, yeah, it's still more interesting. So it can catch our
yeah.
attention.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to
Yeah.
achieve with when we did the segments of the video. I tried to cut them down, and I don't know if you noticed, by session 4, I was only
Yeah.
using very short segments. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, they're
Mhm.
great suggestions, Pak Youky. Can I ask you your suggestion as a recommendation to other teachers and say, hey, this is a great thing to do because blah, 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 something like that? In Bahasa.
Untuk guru-guru Nusantara mengikuti pengkajian guru Nusantara ini hasilnya adalah untuk memperkaya pandangan saya tentang Pancasila, menambah wawasan saya, menambah teman juga karena teman-teman dari daerah lain bisa menceritakan apa yang terjadi di daerah mereka, tantangan apa yang. Jadi saya di sini tidak sendiri dengan adanya informasi-informasi yang disampaikan oleh teman-teman itu akan memperkaya pengetahuan kita karena belajar itu tidak ada ruginya. Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. Okay, now I know you need to go, but is it okay in the future as I'm making my report in the next couple of months? Can I still SMS you every now and then and say, Pak Youky, please tell me what you think about this?
Okay, yes, I don't mind.
Okay, that would be great. And we'll stay in touch. And like I said, I'll aim for one session per month. And hopefully you can come, but if not the following month, and because I may have to alternate the times because you're saying this is the better time for you on the Saturday afternoon, but that it might alternate because some other people, it's not a good time for them. Yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much, Pak Youky, for your sharing and for your wisdom and for your enjoyment. It's been a pleasure to make this Pekajian Bersama, and I hope that we will continue Pekajian Bersama, in the future.
Yeah, I feel pleased also. Thank you for inviting me to be one of the volunteers. And then if you still have a time to visit Pontianak, just let me know so we can have a chat and chat again.
That would be great. Okay.
Yeah.
Good afternoon and enjoy the wedding.
Good afternoon. Yes.